So the question is whether this world will change or whether this world will die due to the evidence that is against us all. So I've created a website, this one, which will allow you to see some of the constant concerns that are available to us all. There is no question about weapons of mass destruction or whether or not they're a terrible thing to have. We can replace them with world law, but that requires us all to decide that we will replace our leaders and govern our leaders with world law and international policing. They don't have a choice. We're going to choose by our law. So that's part of the deal of making a change that will let this world survive. Limited capitalism, of course, is a vote to limit income or put boundaries on property ownership so that we can all have a say in how the world goes, so that nobody gets to collect a length of or a reality of income that allows them create armies against us. We have to make a decision to entitle our lives, to literally entitle our lives to share in the world itself, and we cannot do that without us all. And we cannot do that without the law. You cannot pick up a weapon and, force somebody to change. It's not going to happen. There are thousands of years of history of men who have thought the same thing, and there's still, men who think the same thing, as history proves true, and it's never going to happen, as thousands of years of history prove. Won't happen. But we can change the law, and the law controls society. The law controls our world. The law controls everything we can or will do. The law governs us all. Not because, it's just a collection of words, but because we enforce it as our law, as a government of who we are against those who would choose to discredit or disgrace the law and take it away with their wars. There's wars of money, and there's wars of weapons, and there's wars of fear, and there's wars of university experiments. I'm going to play God, which of course we cannot let them do. They believe that they can be God. Universities have created enough tools to allow them to disgrace and destroy nature itself. Their genetics are nature itself. That's the form of our building our bodies that nature provides for us. And if we let them continue to mutilate it, we will end up with, why is your head where it is? Or or do your hands work? Or why does anything, operate in your body? Or how do you create organs? Or any of the things that allow us to be human, or any other creature on earth to be what it is determined by genetics. And of course the universities believe that all they have to do is define the numbers, and the numbers will take it all. But of course that's not what genetics do. Genetics are an orchestration of many things all happening at the same time. There are billions and billions of parts to your human body, and they all have to be assembled at the same time, and you have 9 months to get that done inside a woman's body, because only women make children. And of course the end result of that is just one tiny little part of the things that threaten us, because human population is now 9 billion people, or will soon be, or maybe over that, who knows. But the end result is we are going to be 9 billion people at least, and 1% population rise per year adds 90 million people more to feed than deaths that have occurred. 90 million more per year. Think about that for a moment, and then you can decide that this is not going to happen. We can't allow that to happen. 90 million more per year means 90 nations must make room for 1 million more people every year. And of course that means immigration is not going to stop. No matter what you think, no matter what you want, it's not going to stop. We have to have birth control. That's it. We have to have birth control. It is we, the people, who are making this change in life. And of course, universities started that with health care. And of course, course, who does not want health care, but we have to change. If we change something about nature, we have to change something about ourselves. That's how it is. Antibiotics created medicine and vaccines that worked. There are vaccines that worked. But that was back in the 50s and 60s, and the things before universities got to claim, well, we did it ourselves by genetics. But of course, genetics are a terrible, terrible thing, really. They can take a living body and make Armageddon out of it, which means that nature's in chaos, and the fact that you have an arm growing out of your shoulder doesn't mean that it's going to be there in the future. It could be growing out of your foot. Who in the hell knows? Certainly not the university, because they don't even know that genetics are not by the number. They don't know anything, and they only know, like the proverbial jack of all trades, they know just enough to destroy it all, if we let them. And that means we have to stop them from destroying our world. That's what's going to happen. People say, well, we have more crops, but the end result of those crops is that to increase yields, something had to be given up. And to increase yields, what was given up was immunity against diseases. And of course, when a corn crop is one of the things that they point to most. It has, in fact, increased in yield. But the end result of that is it's a grass plant. And so we put all grass plants at risk of disease and pandemics in the future. And of course, the farmers, they want chemicals, and they say, this is what gives us a crop, and it is. But the end result of that is, where do all the chemicals go? And I've said to, the different people around, well, what happens when it gets down to the water supply in your aquifer? And I said, well, it's not there yet. But the end result, of course, is that when it gets there, you can't stop it from being there. Not at all. And the water supply, you 9 billion people taking water out of the ground and out of everywhere. And all of those things, you don't know anything about what reality is. Your universities have taught a long level of sewage and stupidity and the indoctrination of every child. Evolution does not exist. There's no single piece of evidence for it at all. None of it. It's just their fantasy and imagination. And of course, they have more fantasy than that. They claim they know what the sun is doing, they know how the sun works, but they don't know what the sun is doing or how it works at all. All of their fantasies and all of their delusions about what the sun is or is not doing are a lie. Every bit of it is a theory that cannot be supported by any fact or reality or truth that can be proven true. None of it, absolutely none of it. But the deal is that it's trillions of dollars. It's their job. Just like genetics, it's their job. It's their pride. It's their power. They want to do it because it's what they do. And they don't want to give it up. And they will lie to you endlessly to prove that they don't have to give it up because we want the money. As is, your life too. You want your job, you want your money, you want your power or pride or whatever it is. You want it. And so do they. So they lie to keep it. They lie about things like at CERN. They claim that they have created, more elements than existed previously. But it's just a little blip on a computer screen. That's all it is. There's nothing more. They can't prove any of it. They claim, but that they can't prove. None of it. None of it. It's all a lie from your former classmates. What former classmate in your school, in your classroom, was God? None of them. Absolutely none of them. And of course, media is a propaganda tool. It just protects the powerful from being questioned. It's like your assistant manager. No real power. They just send you out to assistant managers so you can't get to the people who actually make the decision. And the people who are making the decisions simply don't want to be disturbed because they want what they want. They want what they want. There's nothing else to it. They want what they want. And they want to hide from you, so they don't want to tell you what is or is not true because they don't know. And they don't care to know. They don't want to know because they have what they want. So, life is life. And the end result of it is that I've already killed at least 1 billion people in the future because of the resources that you threw away. Just look at your garbage mountains. All of those resources in that garbage mountain would have been used to keep life alive, to keep your child or grandchild or great-grandchildren alive. And they're now gone. You threw them away. I want to shop, I want to shop, I want to shop. But the end result of that is you're taking away the future. And your entire economy is built upon the fantasy that it doesn't matter. It does matter. There is no future because you threw away the resources. That matters. And of course, habitats are being ruined because of overpopulation. Chains of life are being ruined because of overpopulation. Ocean life is being completely desecrated and cursed because of all of human expectations. That there is no consequences to this. You want what you want and you're going to go take it. Just like it's a war on everything. It's a war on the ocean just as well as it's war on nations. It's war against everything because there's money. And of course there's only money because the fact of the matter is that they lie. The entire U.S. Currency is a complete fraud. There are only numbers. There's no reality to it whatsoever. It's just numbers. And numbers, there's an endless amount of numbers, but there's not an endless amount of resources on this very, very finite planet. You don't get to make a change to that. It's a finite planet. And we will run out of resources. And it's like your key to your car or whatever you're using. If you don't find the key, the car is not going anywhere. And 99% of you, plus, if you don't find the key, you're not going anywhere. And of course, every resource is that way. If you don't have the actual resource that you need to complete the project, it doesn't exist. And of course, in this area, science, so-called, says that only 1 inch out of every 50 inches of rain will go down into the aquifer. 1 inch out of every 50 inches of rain. So the aquifers are going to dry up, and when they dry up, they're going to collapse because you took too much and you didn't put anything back. And you just created war against life and birth and everything. The entire planet is being overheated. Whether you believe that or not doesn't make any difference. You can claim that, we've just had a big cold front here come through, but that's just one little blip in one little spot on an entire planet of life. It doesn't, what affects you doesn't affect the entire world, does it? But again, the world can be affected by what all of us do. And the world, of course, is affected by what all of us do. And media will never tell you, because media is run by the powerful to protect themselves against anybody who wants to make a problem for them because they want what they want and they have what they want and they want to protect what they want. You don't get it because they're going to protect that. So, we have a world that is literally on the edge of dying because of the choices that humanity has made. You didn't like any kind of reality. You didn't like any kind of work. You didn't like any kind of restrictions. You didn't like anything that had to do with any part of anything that was true or reality or the things that make life go on. So you threw it away. And it's true that you've had fun and playtime for the last 50 years, even more. But playtime is over, or the world is over. It is that simple. Playtime is over. It doesn't matter whether you want it or not. Playtime is over. We have to do what truth decides our life and our living and our planet can survive. We have to make choices that are for life, not for wants. Wants are an endless delusion or descent into chaos. We have to make decisions that allow us to live on, that allow our children, your children, to live, that keep the world alive, that don't completely make life in the ocean and the planet extinct. That don't overheat the planet. The atmosphere will come loose, and it will accelerate, and just endless amounts of problems. You chose. You just chose. You have to choose better.